Hello friends, today we are going to look at dependent and spouse visa extension. Before getting started, a small disclaimer. I am not a trained immigration advisor. This video is based on my own experience. If you are in the process of applying for your dependent or spouse visa extension and are unsure of something, then please do your own research and seek professional assistance as necessary. Now let's get started. First, let's look at dependent visa extension. In this particular case, there are three different scenarios and we will cover all three. Let's look at it one by one, starting with visa about to expire. In general, dependent visa would expire the same time as the main applicant. In this scenario, you would have two options. Either to extend your visa within 28 days of visa expiry or any time before 28 days period of the visa expiry. First, let's look at extension of visa within 28 days of visa expiry. For this, you would need to meet the same eligibility criteria as of to a dependent visa. To know more details on the eligibility criteria for dependent visa, kindly watch the dependent and spouse visa video. I have provided the link in the description for the same. Followed by that, dependent visa would be typically granted for the same duration as permission given to the main visa holder. And on top of this, if you are applying within 28 days of visa expiry, you would be paying IHS only for the remaining period. Note, when I say remaining period, this would be the new visa period. Now let us look at the second option. Extension of visa any time before 28 days period of the visa expiry. You would need to meet the same eligibility criteria as of to a dependent visa as earlier stated for this as well. Followed by that, dependent visas would be typically granted for the same duration as permission given to the main visa holder. And also note, if you are applying for your extension visa anytime before 28 days period of the visa expiry, then you would need to pay IHS for the overlapping period as well. And this would be refunded to the actual payment method. For example, if on your first visa the IHS was paid by your employer, then it would be refunded to the employer's account. And this could take time between 1 to 12 months. And if you are paid for the IHS also, it's the same rule. Now let's look at the second scenario where the main applicant changes job. The same as before, dependent visa could be extended anytime before your current permission to stay in the UK expires. In this scenario, when a main applicant changes job, the dependent has three choices. They could extend their visa same time as the main applicant, or any time before 28 days period of the visa expiry, or within 28 days of visa expiry. First, let's look at same time as main applicant option. In all the option sets, the common ones are you would need to meet the same eligibility criteria as of a dependent visa. To know more details on the eligibility criteria, kindly use the link on the description which is around dependent and spouse visa eligibilities. And the other common one is dependent visa would be typically granted for the same duration as permission given to the main visa holder, because the dependent visa is completely based on the main applicant's visa. And because you are applying same time as main applicant, and if suppose your expiry is far away, then you would need to pay the IHS fee for the overlapping period. Any double payment would be refunded to the actual payment method. For example, on your first visa, the IHS was paid by your employer, then it would be refunded to the employer's account, and this could take up to a period of 1 to 12 months. And the same rule applies if you are paid for the IHS as well. Now let's look at the second option where you are applying for your extension anytime before 28 days period of the visa expiry. For this, the rule sets are exactly the same as the first option. Followed by that, let's look at the last option where you are applying within 28 days period of expiry, which means The overlapping IHS period could be avoided and you would be paying IHS fee only for the new visa period. This is the benefit out of this option. Otherwise, the same rule sets applies as any other options. Now, let's look at the third scenario where the main applicant has acquired ILR. In this case, still the dependents could extend their visa at any time before the current expiry date. And dependents can extend their visa in this particular scenario under 5 different types. First, it would be ILR. Second, extend their dependent visa same time as the main applicant. Third, extend the dependent visa before 28 days of visa expiry. And fourth option, extend the dependent visa within 28 days of the visa expiry. And the last option is to convert to the spouse visa. First, let's look at ILR. If the dependent have permission to be in the UK as a dependent partner and they have lived in the UK with the partner at least for 5 continuous years and they could prove that their relationship is genuine and they are living together and they have sufficient income to support themselves and they haven't used any public funds, then they are eligible for ILR. Along with this, they would also need to write life in the UK test if they are between the age of 18 to 64. To get 100% pass rate, please watch our life in the UK test fast track training series. They should also meet the English language requirement if they are applying for the ILR. Now let us look at second and third option together as both has similar rule sets. If the dependent decides to extend their visa same time as the main applicant applying for the ILR application, or if the dependent decides to extend their visa before 28 days of visa expiry, in both option sets the same set of rule applies. So it would be similar to previous rule sets. So the dependent would need to still reach the eligibility criteria for dependent visa, and the dependent visa would be typically granted the duration to be eligible for ILR for the dependents, and they would need to pay the IHS fee for the overlapping period as well. And as previously stated, double payments would be refunded to the actual payment method. For example, if the IHS was paid by your employer on your current visa, then that would be refunded onto your employer's account. If suppose this was done by yourself, then it would be refunded onto the actual payment method. Now let us look at the fourth option. If the dependent decides to extend the visa within 28 days of visa expiry, the same rule set applies. Along with that, the IHS would be paid only for the new visa period. So there would not be any double payments or refunds in this particular option. And the last option is the spouse visa. So the dependents could also decide to move to the spouse visa. You would need to meet the eligibility criteria of a spouse visa for this. To know the eligibility criteria for the spouse visa, kindly watch the dependent and spouse visa video. For the same, I have provided the link on the description. Also, please note, switching or extending spouse visa would be possible only for a maximum period of 2 years and 6 months. If you wouldn't reach the ILR eligibility period within the 2 years and 6 months period, it's always best to extend your dependent visa as the extension would be granted up to the ILR eligibility period. It's most important point to note this. And also note you would need to pay the IHS fee for the 2 years and 6 months period. Now let us look at spouse visa extension. When it comes to spouse visa extension, there is only one option: spouse visa extension itself. The earliest you can apply or extend spouse visa is 28 days before the expiry date of your spouse visa. In general, the spouse visas are granted up to a maximum period of 2 years and 9 months, and extension of spouse visas are granted to a maximum period of 2 years and 6 months. This is because, in general, most would have reached their ILR eligibility period within this time frame. And for the extension as well, you would need to reach the eligibility criteria for the spouse visa. In addition to this, you would also need to pay the IHS fee for the 2 years and 6 months period. With that, we come to the end of this video. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comment section and we will try to help you as much as possible. We would also be uploading the actual spouse visa applications, dependent visa application, spouse and dependent extend visa applications as well as part of this series. Please click the bell icon to get notified on all these videos, and please kindly subscribe if you haven't subscribed, like, comment and share. Thank you.